So my first guest today is going to be Robert and Ming. Robert is a banker who was raised in the Bay Area, and Ming is from grew up in China and Japan.
Yeah, we met in the class, just like studying together.
My first impression actually is like he looks kind of serious and not happy. I don't know. Maybe he's like really aggressive person.
How was your family's receptive of the relationship when you guys started?
she gave me a grade like as how good of a boyfriend material I am. I think
Wait, what?
she gave me a B plus.
Amusing cultural misunderstanding that both of you have, encountered.
She'd say like shut the light or close the light. And I was like, what do you mean close the light? I tend to gravitate towards like white women or Asian women. Not really sure why.
For Asian, usually when we're talking, we don't actually look each other in the eye.
Did you guys have any misunderstanding when it came to table etiquette?
Chopsticks, if you put them like straight up in a bowl of rice, like stick them up, it looks like really, I would say, rude in Asian culture. It looks like he died.
Definitely, they kind of want me to date a Chinese guy so that I can go back to China and be with him because I'm the only child.
All right, all right. Now let's get the ball rolling. Everybody, now let's get officially started. Thanks for coming to Mind, Body, and Microphone. My name is KB. I'm the host for today's conversation with my colleague, Cuerjo. So let's set a few house rules in place. If you're not talking, you put yourself in mute. And then when you are about to talk, you can take yourself off mute and talk so that we can have our guests listen to the conversation surrounding, navigating love in multicultural relations, right? Robert, I know you're a banker and Ming works in healthcare. To get started, can you tell us how you guys met and what was your initial impression of each other?
Yeah, we met like we were both taking Japanese language classes at UC Santa Barbara. So yeah, we met in the class, just like studying together. My first impression, honestly, it wasn't really like a love at first sight type situation, but at first I was just like, okay, yeah, I like this girl. Let's see where it goes. I don't know, I don't know what her impressions are of me, but yeah, it was just kind of like it didn't start off that serious, and then I guess down the line, at some point, I was like, okay, this is something. This could be like, wife material, something like that. So yeah, that's my impression, but I don't know, maybe Ming has a different feeling about it.
Ming, what was your impression of Robert when you guys first met?
My first impression actually is like he looks kind of serious and not happy. I don't know. Maybe he's like really aggressive person.
But did it turn out to be like it was aggressive or it was totally opposite?
uh, yeah. Actually, after talking to him, he started to smell, and it looks like actually he's not like that aggressive and pretty nice guy. But at the beginning, before talking, he looks like I don't know. Maybe he's mad at me.
Robert, you got to smile more. You got to smile more. Um, Robert, it's interesting. So you went to take you went to you said a Japanese class in school.
Hmm.
That's how. Did you go there with the right intention to learn how to play these drums, or you went there with hidden ulterior motives, Robert?
I was just there to learn Japanese. I mean, personally, I've always like, I guess like my type. Um, I tend to gravitate towards like white women or Asian women. Not really sure why, but I didn't set out, just going to those classes to try to like pick up girls or anything. Just it just worked out that way. But no, I learned Japanese in the process too. Although Ming knows way more than I do because she actually grew up. She spent a few years in Japan, so her Japanese is way better than
Well,
mine.
that's really interesting. Now I want to highlight, Ming. You moved from China. you grew up, you were raised in Japan as well. Um, what was your initial impression? Because you were moving from your Chinese culture into dating an American man. What was your initial impression of, each other's culture in the first place? Because I'm sure when you started to date, that's when you learned different things about each other and where you guys' backgrounds are. So what was your first impression of the culture coming to America and dating an American versus when you were in China? What was the impression?
Um, I actually never really dated any guy before Robert, but yeah, culturally, I would say the biggest difference is like probably how direct people actually can be, not only in like daily life but also in our relationship. Like, for Asian, usually when we're talking, we don't actually look each other in the eye. That's kind of considered as offensive or like really aggressive. Uh, no, we don't directly look in people's eyes, so we kind of look on the side a little bit. But Americans will just like directly look into your eye and tell you what they want. If it looks like maybe they're hiding something, that's what I realized, and that's what I not expected at the beginning. And so, yeah, communication, yeah, it's like sometimes we just don't directly talk about certain things, and then America will just like, yeah, I have this feeling, and let's talk about it. So yeah, I was not expecting that at the beginning.
Wow. Robert, what do you have to say about you learning about your initial impression, learning about Ming's culture?
It was definitely different. Like I've dated before, but I never dated anyone who was like not an English speaker originally. So definitely the communication thing can be difficult. Because she came here for college, so she'd only been in the US for like a couple years. Um, so yeah, English was like definitely an issue. Actually, you spoke in Japanese a lot in the beginning, just because it was easier that way. But yeah, I'd say for like intercultural relationships, if one of the people is their first language is something else, it definitely adds like a layer of complication where you might just get in an argument and you don't even mean to because one person misunderstood that kind of thing. But
Yeah,
yeah,
right,
uh-huh.
right. And Robert, so I know that with intercultural relationships, as you both decide to navigate life, right?
hmm
What are some, amusing cultural misunderstanding that both of you have, encountered?
I'm using misunderstandings. Let's see. I think in the beginning it was just like uh, what she used to say. He said we say in English like turn on, turn off the light. She'd say like shut the light or close the light. And I was like, what do you mean close the light? Like how do you and just weird things like that. I don't know, I mean, do you have any from your point of view? Like when we went to China, I'm trying to think of like any weird miscommunications that were pretty funny.
Feeling them. It
Yeah.
was like you're laughing at my language more than I do.
No,
Well,
I don't know.
I can understand how that will play a role, right? Because when, for example, me when I first moved here and I started, dating someone outside my culture,
Uh-huh.
there's certain things that even with Americans that we say depend on the type of English that you speak, right? So, American has a special language, and then when you grew up in Ghana where you learned the British English, the certain pronunciations are different. So I remember there are times that I'll use certain words, they're like, huh? And then you have to like try to put on your American hat and then say it the American way, and that's what everybody gets it. So I can see how humorous that could be. Um, so I want to really go before I go deeper. Could you have some questions for you guys?
Yeah.
And we can keep going.
Yeah. Hi, Robert and Ming. Nice to meet you guys. Can you guys hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you?
Okay, so I wanted to ask, so I wrote down a few things with the amusing misunderstanding. Did you guys have any misunderstanding when it came to table etiquette? Because I know, like, an American table etiquette and a Japanese table etiquette. I mean, how was it like when you guys were eating on the same table? Like maybe the fork would be somewhere else. Maybe you found a struggle to eat with what's it called? Those
Chopstick.
Chopsticks.
chopsticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, was that an issue like that? Like,
Uh,
I wanted to know.
um, yeah, I mean, I learned how to use chopsticks before I met Ming a little bit, but it definitely was not nearly as good as I am now after being with her for so many years. Yeah, it's definitely interesting though, because the chopsticks, if you put them like straight up in a bowl of rice, like stick them up, it looks like really, I would say, rude in Asian culture.
Okay.
It looks like somebody died, like
Yeah,
put the
Oh,
incense,
yeah.
like a stick of incense in the
wow.
like yeah. So you can't do that, or you're not supposed to do that in a restaurant. Like stick your chopsticks into a rice bowl. It's just like a
Oh,
bad luck or something like that. So that's
wow.
interesting.
Wow.
Trying to think the other way, because like I don't know, the manners seem like Western is a little easier, like more less strict, I want to say, than like the Asian table etiquette. At least the household I grew up in, there's not really much you could do that would be considered like super rude. But can you think of anything, Ming? And like at the table differences?
Um, yeah, definitely using different bowl and plates. That's like a lot of difference. For me, learning fork and knife. I still have to learn fork and knife, even though a lot of people just like you just pick it up and use it. But I was, yeah, I didn't know actually what's the usual way that people using fork and knife. So every time I'm going to like the Western restaurant with him, I kind of have to just whisper to him, it's like, how do I do this one? Or how do I use it? Yeah, so actually there's like a reverse too, which probably most people won't expect. Um, but from table miner point of view, it's not that much um, difference. I think maybe Robert think that there's a lot, but I think there's like a lot of surprise from my end about food. Um, because I'm the one usually cooking, and Robert, so I cook Chinese, Japanese, and some all kinds of food, and he would just expect the Chinese food, which is, for example, he expect the Chinese bao, which is like the usual one that you can find in dim sum. The inside is like the barbecue pork. I didn't really, I didn't really grow up like in South China, so that the dim sum is only from South China. So how different it could be is like for me when I growing up, I never had that.
Mm,
I don't call it as a bao.
mm,
And I cook like at first time I make him some bao that is actually filling with the ground beef and carrot and other fillings. When he bite in, he was disappointed because it's not as fat and sweet as like the Benson one. Yeah, so we had like argument over that, which is like actually my surprise that his understanding about Chinese food what is, and my understanding what is Chinese food is actually totally different.
wow. Wow. That's beautiful. What about public? I mean, you guys have been out in the public. How do you guys express affection? Like, this PSA. Do you guys show it? Is it something against your culture, the Asian culture against, I want to know how you guys do it. Because some people are very public with expressing, their affection by a kiss, a hug, So I want to know how you guys do it in public, if you want to share.
I think we just like hold hands or like sometimes we'll hug or kiss in public. I'm not for like the most expressive in public about that kind of stuff. It's not like we don't do it because we're afraid what people will think. It's definitely not coming from that kind of place. But yeah, just not really like super out there with showing everything off. Yeah, I don't think people really, at least in the Bay Area, people. I never feel like people looking at us or anything. It's pretty common to see like the white guy with the Asian girl. here. Um, I don't know, maybe if it was the other way, like if it's a white girl with an Asian guy, I feel like you get more looks that way, actually. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Ming? You think people care like when we're in China? They're looking at us, anything like that?
Um, I do remember when we went to China. Um, I was just having like a like a sport outfit, and then we were like working at a tourist spot. And there was like a guy that is owning a medi medicine store, drugstore, and like a traditional Chinese medicine store. And then he approached us, trying to give us a tour. And then he was basically asking me if I'm like the tour guide, is
Oh, yeah, that's
girlfriend or
right.
wife.
You were giving me a tour.
Yeah, so it was they are like not, I guess in China they were more expecting like we're like couples, but in there they're just like yeah.
Yeah, that was so weird. He was like, "Hey, like, you giving this guy a tour right now?" I think he asked you in Chinese too, right? And I was just like, what's going on? What did he ask? Because my Chinese isn't that good actually. So yeah, it's funny. It's like the perception. People just assumed I was like a tourist, and she's a local. But
Right.
how it goes.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Robert, I have a question for you guys. Are there any specific traditions or customs from each other's culture that you've incorporated in your relationship? Maybe something that she knows of in China and then you knowing here and just you guys incorporating something and having traditions for your relationship?
Yeah, yeah, we definitely have. Like big tradition in China is the Chinese New Year. So that's normally in like February, January. It depends on the year, but yeah, we celebrate that now. And I'll invite like my family, my sister, my dad, whoever's around, so they can celebrate it with us. Because in the Bay Area, you can get a lot of like good Chinese food, especially Chinese New Year. They'll have like stuff just for the holiday. So yeah, we incorporated that, and then for Thanksgiving, Ming will do like a duck instead of a turkey, which is like pretty cool. I think it's actually better than a turkey, at least the way she does the duck. So that's like a Chinese style Thanksgiving, I guess. But what else? You guys really don't celebrate Christmas, right, in China? Yeah. So we'll do that here, but I'm trying to think what else. There's like a lot of Chinese holidays that I didn't even know about that Ming will still do stuff for. Like it's mostly just like cooking stuff, like dumplings or depending on what the holiday is, you're supposed to cook something or buy something. But a lot of it revolves around food, which I love. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to
Wow.
think the Western, if we incorporate any like Western holidays. Uh, I don't know. What do you think? You're already kind
Uh,
of celebrating because you're here in America already, so you know about them.
yeah,
Um,
kind of cooked like yeah, I cooked turkey before too.
we do like Valentine's Day, but I think that's big in China too, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's like a really commercialized holiday
Yeah, it's the
in
same
China.
thing. So actually, I was surprised there's a lot of overlap already, just because China's, uh, you know, pretty international. They're like picking up on all those like American holidays and doing the same thing in China. So um, yeah, it's funny though. When we first met, I did have like expectations just based on the Chinese food I'd eaten in the US. Like this is what it's Chinese food, you know, it's gonna be like orange chicken and chow mein and fried rice. And then find out it's like that's not really Chinese food. I mean, kind of like a little bit, but that's like the tip of the iceberg. And then you have all this kind of food that it's like regional. So maybe Ming makes stuff and it's Chinese food, and you can ask somebody else who's from China and they've never heard of it because they're from a different town. Like they
Mm.
have their own food, their own dialect. So yeah, it's interesting. The US, everything's pretty similar. Like we can all understand each other if you're on the East Coast, West Coast. But in China, like you go a few cities over and people can't even understand each other's accents. So definitely is interesting. I just found out how little I knew about China once I started dating Ming. Yeah,
Wow.
that's how it goes though.
Nice, nice. Good stuff there. And how was your family's receptive of the relationship when you guys started? Was there any questions asked from both of you?
Yeah, actually, the relationship it just started like a holiday, and then we started dating. And our Japanese professor found out and took us a photo using my phone. And fortunately, my phone at that time was linked up with my parents' like photo flow or whatever the iPhone photo share device is. And then I didn't know that, and then the photo leaked to my mom. And immediately just started to pick in and fly to America that winter. Um, and so that's how, yeah, I actually first met Robert. And um, her English is not that good, so, but she speaks Japanese. So she talked to Robert in Japanese for a bit, and then she went back to China. I didn't ever get like that much resistance from my parents. Definitely, they kind of want me to date a Chinese guy so that I can go back to China and be with him because I'm the only child. But
She gave me a grade like as how good of a boyfriend material I am. I think
Wait, what?
she gave me a B plus.
What?
She told Ming, and Ming was like, "Yeah, she gave you a B plus." I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, okay, I guess that's good."
Wait.
Oh.
Hey, what grading? What do you use to grade him on based on what?
uh, it,
Uh,
I don't know. It's my mom's grading like system, but she's like like for the background, she's like a business development manager that like managing tons of people, and then it's like a working women, so she has like a lot of standards. And
Mm.
so I guess looking and ability and yeah, a lot of things, but to be honest, like anything above B, to be honest, is like it's really good.
But what is interesting for me right now, Kojo, is I
So,
want to know your mom's grading system. We really
I
want
want
to
to
know
know.
it. You can
I want to
remember?
know how
Can
she
you tell us
graded
what
him.
grading system it is so that we can also
I
start
also
grading?
use that as well. Yeah. I want to know because it's interesting. Very, very interesting.
And probably including a lot of how the looks are,
Uh-huh.
uh, and then the height, and then education, and
Okay.
then family, and then family house or gene,
Okay.
and then personality.
Oh wow. Were these in a particular order or is just you know?
It's a mix,
Oh,
so I don't know exact, but I know the standard definitely not low.
So if I may ask, so there was some money involved. How much he makes? He didn't even look at that.
nah, because we were both students at the time,
Okay,
so
so
neither of us
it
was
didn't matter.
working.
Okay.
Yeah, she was just looking at my like what am I studying? Yeah,
That's
you know,
good.
she's like a people person, so she'll talk to you. I guess we had like a few conversations. She was only there for like a weekend, or a week, and she went back. But yeah, it was kind of like felt like an interview session with the mother-in-law. At that time, we were just dating, so it wasn't even that serious. But yeah, I guess she liked what she saw. She liked to, I guess, speak Japanese. That definitely helped. Yeah, and then her dad just wanted to know about my family history because he's a doctor, so he's really sensitive to like, oh, okay, is there any like history of cancer, diabetes, or blah blah blah. It's like, interesting. I never thought that would be like a question to rate your boyfriend, but I guess if you're
Wow.
a doctor, they care a lot about the family history. Yeah.
So, man, great question. So, let's say all the diagnostics and everything, and then they found out that there's something in his family. Would you still have gone ahead to get married to him?
You mean family history, like house history?
Let's say there was something, maybe there was a cancer or there was like some issue in his family. right? And that affected your union together. Would you have still gone ahead to get married to him, even though your parents are saying, "Hey, you know what? There's cancer, there's diabetes, whatever. It can be, I don't know, something." Would you have still gone ahead to get married to Robert?
I think so. I think it's like the question those is mostly like for prevention purpose. It's because it's like the like I also in health industry, so like all those diseases like genetically is like more like important like prevention. But like yeah, definitely it's like one of the consideration, but not the most important.
Okay, all right.
That's
That's
cool. And thanks for sharing that, Ming. You shared your part. But Robert, Ming shared her part of the story how her family, her mom got to meet you first. How was it from your side when your friends or family found out that you were dating Ming?
I didn't have any issues. Like, I don't think anyone gave me any kind of like negative reaction. Yeah, like my parents are divorced, so they met her at separate times. I'm trying to remember the first time they met you like face to face, but both my parents were just happy that I found somebody. I think my mom and my dad, they don't really care so much about like the skin color of the person I'm dating. Um, but yeah, my mom really liked me. Um, she just wanted to make sure with somebody who's like, like a decent person, not just good looking, but like actually cares about me, is gonna take care of me, that kind of thing. And dad, same thing, didn't really have any criticism, um, negative pushback. So I felt like for us, it was pretty easy. I was actually kind of surprised. I thought her parents would be a little more critical, maybe disappointed that she's not trying to go with the Chinese guy. So I was pretty happy with that. I think it's because they both spent some time in the US and outside of China. So they're not very like strict on the whole thing. They're kind of international people as well, so that always helps.
Wow, that's cool. Thanks for sharing that. And just to let those watching, if you have questions for Robert and Ming, you can either put it in the comments or you can come up. We can get you up and you can ask them. They are sharing their stories regarding how they met, a white male and an Asian female. And so later on in this show, we're going to be talking to another guest. They've been together for over 30 years, an African and a beautiful Caribbean woman. And they'll be sharing their story and how that intercultural relationships have been, and they're still together till today. So if you guys have any questions, you can just put in a comment and then we can bring it up and ask Robert and Ming. And once again, I want to thank Robert and Ming for, joining us, and Robert telling me he's down to share his story. So I really,
Hmm.
really, really appreciate it, Robert. So my question is, so what cultural values, right, do you believe are crucial for a thriving relationship like yours, right? Do you guys have any values that you're living by? Um, what is making your relationship? Because you've been together for about what, 8 years, right? And then married since 2017, right?
Yeah.
And so what is getting you guys' relationship moving on smoothly and going on well? Any values you guys are living by or anything you guys would like to share?
Um, Values that we live by. Uh, I don't know. I think the thing for if you're gonna date somebody who's from a different culture is you just kind of have to be accept the fact that you're not always gonna like agree on everything, and just a lot of differences in terms of like what's important. Is it family? Is it money? Is it um, like my family? They're pretty. They're they're more concerned about like going to family gatherings and maybe not so career focused. Um, and Ming's family. because she grew up in China. It's pretty hard uh, to make like a decent living there because it's just really competitive. So I think her family focused way more on their careers and that sort of thing. Um, which at first to me, I was like, okay, I was like, oh, I wonder why they're so like obsessed with this kind of stuff. But then I visited China and I'm like, okay, you can't really like have a decent life unless you put a lot of time and work on your career because you won't be able to afford anything out there. So yeah, it's just like trying to understand where the other person's coming from and how they grew up because that helps to explain like why they care about certain things that you might not. Because before I visited China, I just you think you know a place and then you go there and it's like okay, this is like people aren't doing things here because they want to. They're doing things here because they have to, or they're not going to be able to have a decent life. So yeah, you just have to really be open to um, exploring the other person's culture. And I think that makes it easier to communicate and like to get over arguments or maybe roadblocks that come up in the relationship. Mhm.
That's some deep words. Ming, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think the open-minded is like definitely one very, very important one. And from my side, it's probably more like direct communication because Asian more likely to be uh not talking about stuff. They just think like other people know, and it's like a lot of some a lot of family values. It's like just assume other people know, and that works if you're dating like if I dating like a Chinese guy, but definitely not working if I'm dating like Robert and a lot of things that I think he knows he doesn't know, so we need to talk about it or something he did. I was just like why he did that. I don't understand. It does not look right. And then after the communication, actually, I started understanding why he's doing it, and those kind of things definitely happen a lot in the past like 8 9 years. Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's like you have to say like whatever you think is supposed to be everyone or not. No, it's different culture, so not everyone knows.
Wow, wow. Thank you for sharing those words, Ming. We appreciate it. We are learning a lot from you guys' relationships. And so for those folks that want to, go outside their own cultures, some stories that Ming and Robert have shared today. Robert, I saw in the comments whether it's Robert or Bobby. So from now on, when I meet you, I'm just going to keep calling you Bobby. Is that
Yeah, yeah, either way. Yeah, Bobby's like that's like my nickname. But I just
uh,
sometimes I just want to correct people
right?
and just go with Robert. But either way, yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's really cool. Robert and Meng, I want to say thank you for taking time to join us. We really, really appreciate your contribution and following. If you just followed us, this is Mind, Body, and Microphone. We bring to you topics surrounding relationships, topics surrounding travel and lifestyle, topics surrounding business and finance, mental health stuff. We talk about everything where we bring folks to come share their stories. And so if you're in here and you want to even contribute or you know of some interracial couples and some of the fun stories, we can bring you on. You can share with us. But that's where I'm going to, before we say goodbye to them, Kwejo, do you have any final words before we say goodbye to them?
No, I mean they said it all, and I'm just in awe of your relationship. Honestly, it's amazing to see and witness the cultural differences and what you guys have learned over the years and still learning. And I can also use this as a platform to say thank you for sharing your experiences because most of us don't have like a clue what happens in most of these multicultural relationships because we're not exposed to these things growing up. So we see those things on TV, shows and stuff like that. But for you to come here and tell us and tell us your experience, it's really, really, really eye opening. So thank you so much, Robert and Bobby and Meng, for this amazing opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us. It's good. get to be
Keep
able to share some of our stories.
Absolutely. We'll probably will have you guys on the more future episodes as we try to navigate all the different topics we want to talk about. And so, Bobby, you for sure know I'm going to be shooting you a text when we need you guys back. But,
Sounds good, yeah.
you can also follow us. I mean, thank you for following us. For those of you watching, you can follow our page, Mind, Body, and Microphone. And, we're going to be telling you when we're talking about something I feel like you'll be, amazing like today to share your story. I'll definitely bring it up to you and see if you can come in and contribute to us. So at this point, I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to say bye to Ming. I'm taking you guys off. And
Bye
Robert,
bye.
we'll see you guys. I'll see you guys around, especially Robert. I'll see you around.
Sounds good.
So we're going to go to our next guest, and we're going to be talking to Dr. Yao Asare and Andrea Blair. Dr. Yao Asare is a retired biotechnology executive, and Andrea Blair is a retired nurse. They met in the university in Nigeria, University of Ibadan. And this is a Ghanaian man who went to university in Ibadan, and she met a Guyanese woman who was also studying the university, and they got together to date. So we want to learn a lot. We're going to learn a lot from the couple. They've been together over 30 years. They have two amazing kids.
Wow.
They're going to share the stories with culture dating and how they've been able to navigate it so well. So I'm going to see if I can find them. Let me send a quick invite. And I'm fortunate to call this duo family too, because it's literally my uncle and my aunt.
Oh,
And
wow.
so
Wow.
I'm happy that they opted to come in here and share their story.